Hello, Wayfarers, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Labs, the show where we take random prompts and create brand new material for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I am your host, Badger Fallaize. With me, as always, is our illustrious illustrator, Sarah, and our special guest today is Katie.
Hi.
Hey guys, so welcome on back to another wonderful episode of this. Today is our arcane laboratory where we will be creating a brand new spell for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I love the new little title card you did there, Sarah. That's really cool. I do really love that. And so, as always, we have with us the Hat of Randomness, from which we will be drawing our prompts to start us off. Hey there, Shane Snowdrift again. Welcome back. It's good to have you back on the back in the audience again.
Hey,
The drawing is the School of Magic, which I realise I've mixed in two different things here. Well, that's
exciting.
That's a great way to start, isn't it? Let me fish out the little cards that have the
No
this is
worries.
live entertainment, people. There is nothing in the world like it. Let me just fish out all the cards that have the spell levels written on them, and instead leave in just the schools of magic, because that is the first thing that we need to create our spell. Is a school of magic for which this spell belongs to, and that is the last one of those. So, and hello Traz88, glad to have you back as well. It's good to see that we've got returning people for this show.
It's awesome.
It is really awesome. So glad to have that. Okay, so we will be creating. I've drawn divination, but we did divination last time, so I think we're going to do a redo. I should really actually take these out each time, so that we're not just repeating ourselves every single time. Instead of divination, we're going to create an illusion spell.
Ooh, yeah.
This could be very fun.
Nice.
Okay,
I'm gonna say
so we're going to create an illusion spell. The next thing we need to know is of what level this spell is.
Fingers crossed are really high.
You want like a really high level spell?
Yeah.
Really crazy high level illusion spell that is just insane. I love it. We have... Okay, I'm not crazy high, but still pretty good. We're going to be creating a 5th level spell.
Alright, that's alright.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, still pretty good, still pretty high. Definitely plenty of people out there. I've dropped the thing on the floor and I have no idea where it's gone. Played to the point where they actually get access to 5th level spells, so... Ooh, cantrip. No, we're not creating cantrips.
Oh, boo! Boo!
I ain't creating cantrips today. Cantrips are super cool. I do like a good cantrip. But no, 5th level spell. So the next thing we need to know is what components this spell requires.
Ooh, yes.
To cast it. And this spell is going to require... Oh, the whole hog. A verbal, a somatic, and a material component.
Ah.
Nice.
So, this is a very big, gestury spell with a lot of... So, make it use shadow stuff. Well, we'll actually look at that shadow stuff, because shadow magic in D&D is illusion magic, and actually is like the only kind of illusion magic. Well, not the only kind, but the main kind of illusion magic that actually damages things. It is, yeah. We also need to know what class can actually cast this spell. And so...
Bard.
Or classes. So... oh, interesting. So, there are going to be multiple classes. The first class that can use this spell is a ranger.
Oh,
Which I was just working that out, and yes, rangers do get 5th level spells, but that's like the highest level that they get.
5th level.
oh, okay,
Ranger.
So rangers get this spell.
okay.
That'll be interesting.
Material.
Who else gets this spell? Oh, paladins also get this spell.
Oh,
There's going to be an interesting one to kind of cover these bases.
Yeah.
And druids can also cast this spell.
okay.
And I'm still drawing cards that say draw again. So, all right, and finally, warlocks. So this is
Weird.
interesting. It's an interesting combination, but weirdly, a combination that makes sense
Yeah.
when you think about it, because rangers and druids have so much crossover anyway.
Like
Yeah.
the nature magic.
Yeah, with nature magic, and then paladins and warlocks both getting powers usually from a patron.
Interesting. I feel like we need to like have the origin of this magic, this illusion have to be a god.
I think so too, or maybe not a god, but and this is where this kind of shadow stuff comes in. Because it could, rather than a god, be a being such as a dreadlord, like Strahd.
Ooh.
Because dreadlords are beings that became so powerful that the gods, or themselves in certain cases, but usually the gods, locked them away in their own demiplane in the Shadowfell, where they had absolute control and dominion over everything. And Shadowfell is also where shadow magic comes from. So you have these incredibly powerful beings, which is actually also where Hexblade Warlocks come from as well, is they have patrons in the Shadowfell. So I feel like maybe this spell can have like a really cool link to the to shadow magic in the Shadowfell.
Oh, this feels like a pretty dark spell.
Yeah, and this is kind of just adding to how dark this season has actually been. Everything that we have created this season so far.
It's true.
We've got one more episode this season, and if it once again is super dark, then I think this is the dark season of Homebrew Lab. Matt's just written Orcus with an exclamation mark at the end in the chat, and I'm not quite sure. Are you, Matt? Are you suggesting Orcus is the warlock patron in this case? Because Orcus is in the Abyss. He is a demon lord, and one of the most terrifying demon lords. He is so terrifying. He has transcended game systems because he also appears in Pathfinder. But the only demon lords to exist in both. Cool. So let's have a look at a spell, because one of the main features of shadow-based illusion magic is that it actually does have some substance to it. It's not just a fake image that you can stick your hand through. There's actually physically something there, though very much is not a fully corporeal thing. It is still pretty solid compared to every other illusion.
There's hallucinatory terrain. I don't know what level that is.
The hallucinatory terrain is pretty high. So let's have a look at some spells that are of similar level in the similar school.
Yeah.
So
I have something in mind, but I'm waiting to hear what you read out.
So the other 5th level illusion spells are Seeming, Mislead, which is a freaking crazy good spell if you ever have the chance to take it. Dream, which I'm surprised Dream is an illusion spell. I felt like dream should have been like maybe enchantment, but anyways.
I think it'd be like
Uh,
divination.
and creation, which is which is the shadow magic side of things, because creation actually involves making something corporeal.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you thinking, Katie? Because I'm not really
Oh,
sure what I'm thinking at the moment.
so I was thinking of something like something to lose your way, like labyrinth or maze or
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
um yeah, something that's gonna misdirect you in a big way, that get you lost.
Hmm. I like it. That's kind of cool. I do like that. I'm trying to think, like, now I'm trying to kind of think how to make that work in a mechanical sense as well.
Yeah, like a misty maze or something.
It feels
Like a
very
mystic.
like the way um Spider-Man.
Oh, right.
Mysterio. Mysterio's
How Mysterio
illusions.
works for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's a very cool idea. Yeah, I like that. So the question is like, how does this work now mechanically? Like, how do we make that kind of idea of kind of you're kind of messing with the world around a person
Yes.
in a way, or at least affecting their perception of it. Because at the end of the day, illusions do not have to be physical illusions that are
Mhm.
visible illusions. They can be illusions inside a person's head.
Oh, I love that. I think I would love it if it were like a hallucination.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially because if you're in a group and you got this, you be one. So just have to snap you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Man,
thinking of in that sense, we have, and also now kind of like thinking to how do we tie this in? Because it's easy to tie this into to Warlock and Paladin, and I
Yeah.
think Paladins probably started with like an Oathbreaker Paladin.
Yeah.
Um, Shane Snowdrift is already adding ideas for
The
names.
names. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mind Miss Labyrinth,
I
which
think I'm just like I'm jumping ahead of my of us here by thinking, oh, it should be able to affect more than one person.
maybe it's an okay. Okay, so this is a thought that I'm having now, and it kind of is going to operate in a similar way to how Maze does, except it doesn't take the person out of play.
Yeah.
It basically screws up a person's ability to move
Okay.
in the game. So you designate an area in the map of like a it's a fifth level, so we'll say like a 20-foot radius area or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Big old area about the size of a fireball.
Mm-hmm.
Any creature that starts its turn in that space or uh, enters that space
Mm-hmm.
has to make an intelligence saving throw,
mm.
or we can either say just be unable to leave the space or just lose all of their movement for the rest of the round.
I think it should be more interesting than that.
Okay.
Like if you enter the space, you like the moves you make, like so if you move in the wrong place, you run into like a wall because you said that it can have a physical.
Yeah, the shadow magic can have a kind of like physical manifestation. So
And so then you're forced to turn and actually go through the maze and let until you fit like succeed your wisdom save or intelligence save.
I think it definitely should be intelligence for like
Yeah.
working out a maze, I think. Um, paralysis on the fail safe. I don't know if paralysis is really the right way to kind of go with it. I feel like
It's just like
it,
wandering aimlessly through a space where you like encounter walls and
well, I
like,
think I think that is the general effect, right? That's
yeah,
the flavor and the effect. But I'm
yeah,
trying to think of like how to make that work in a mechanical way, because
yeah.
if
So like
someone,
you're just stuck there, like you can't move,
yeah.
but that's what everyone else sees. But your brain goes on this like,
So the actual area of effect is invisible.
okay, yeah,
Like anyone can enter the space and get trapped inside the maze, but from the outside, you actually cannot see that there's anything there at
ah,
all.
so like the inside, mechanically, like on that person's turn,
Yeah.
they find themselves in this maze.
So
I
they
think
step into the space. They find themselves in this out of shadow,
Yeah.
which like is physical to the touch, and they cannot just walk through the walls. They have to make the intelligence saving throw to be able to get themselves out of the maze. Um,
I think perhaps it could have one of those things where um that you roll randomly for the random direction that they move.
Oh, that's a good idea.
but the only thing with that is then it's not going to be because a maze is like multiple different directions
Right.
and lots of corners and turning. So, because my thought with the denying the movement thing, and maybe having like taking if you want to do something more than that, have it that anyone inside the maze cannot take any actions that affects anything outside of the maze,
Yeah.
but things that are outside of the maze can take actions against things inside of the maze. So you could like trap people inside a maze, and someone from outside could still do like ranged attacks at them, but they couldn't retaliate until they got out.
Yeah, but then if they get hit, presumably they would do an intelligence save.
Yes, if they do get hit, then they get to make an additional intelligence
Yeah.
save. So they make an intelligence save at the start of each of their turns if they start their turn there, or at the moment that they enter, to try and avoid the maze altogether. Once inside, they can make an additional intelligence save if they take damage or if they or at the start of their turn.
Ooh, I just thought of a cool mechanic.
Oh yes, give it
That
to me.
involves like a table. So when you enter the maze, you roll, the GM will roll to say what kind of maze. So it could be a maze of thorns. So if they run into a wall, they get piercing damage. It could be a maze of poison mist. It could like whatever it is. Like you could have like then there's like damage dealing as well.
Yes.
Because
Cool. So
it doesn't
it
guarantee that everyone's going to get damaged every time. It's just if you run into a wall or touch the walls, you have to do a
yeah.
saving throw.
So at the start of each of your turn, you make the intelligence saving throw. If you succeed on the saving throw, you leave the space, and you're able to leave the space and have your turn. If you fail the saving throw, you are stuck inside the maze. A random thing from the table happens, and nothing that you cannot take any actions that affect the outside of the maze.
Yeah, because in your brain, you're freaking in the maze. So
You're
like
inside. Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, you have been teleported.
Yeah, it's you feel like you've been taken outside of this plane, but in reality it is just in your head.
Yeah, that's cool. I think because we were trying to see it, like I think it makes sense. It ties in quite well with warlocks and paladins, as you say.
Yes, coming from this kind of like place
I
of shadow.
yeah, I think that as far as rangers are concerned,
Rangers and druids we have as
yeah,
well.
and
Yeah.
druids. I suppose rangers, like, on one end, it could be like, when they're tracking someone.
Okay, and we are.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Had a bit of a technical snafu there, but we are back on. So yeah, so we've got. So yeah, that was the thought, was that we have these kind of two separate, like, designs for the maze. These two separate approaches to this spell. One which is approached by paladins and warlocks, and one that is approached by druids and rangers
Mm-hmm.
to create these things. And the actual effect of it is the same.
Yeah.
It's just it's just the what's the word for it? It's just the kind of appearance of it that changes. Also, so the your drawing does not seem to have come back up on the stream. Oh, she's muted. She got
Okay.
that. Oh, okay. She's oh, this is that. Okay, so we've got a. I'm going to start writing all this up. So we've got a 5th level illusion spell. So casting time, probably just 1 action. That's all it needs to be. Because this is a combat-based spell.
Yeah.
So 1 action is a good one to have. Range. So how far away can they cast this spell from themselves?
I want to say, like, my first instinct is 120 feet.
Fair enough. That's a very sizable range. I'm not saying, like, I disagree with that. I'm just trying to think of, like, in the context of a fight, when would you want to be using a spell like this?
Well, it's to incapacitate, isn't it? And you
Yeah,
don't want any of your colleagues to be in the area of effect.
that's true. Okay, I think
So
100,
that
120 feet, it seems fair.
it's
Uh,
more about that area of effect. If you're doing this attack, you don't want anyone from your crew to, like, wander into it because it's invisible space.
Indeed. And the next thing one thing we do need to talk about is what is our material component?
Ooh.
So I feel like because as Matthew Rogers pointed out last time very brilliantly, a lot of the material components are either, like, inside jokes, like using a penny, like a copper coin, to do detect thoughts. Um, and it's literally just a pun on penny for your thoughts. Um, for the maze spell itself, I think it's something like a ball of yarn or something like that. Like, I think it's an 8th spell, so there we go. Oh no, it actually does not have a material component with the normal maze spell. I feel like it would have been something like that, like a piece of a ball of yarn or something like that, because of
I think I think specifically red yarn.
So we could put it as a length of red yarn.
Yeah, because if you, like, it's one of those tools you use if you go into a maze.
Well, it's because it's the play on the story of Theseus and the
Yeah.
Minotaur.
Yeah.
Of him using, and in his, I think it was actually golden
Golden.
thread.
Okay, golden thread would be better.
Yeah, so maybe we'll put a length of golden thread. because Golden Thread, he like used fought the Minotaur and then returned, back, and then like followed the thread back to the entrance
Yeah.
again. And then the duration of the spell. So this feels like the kind of spell that probably is concentration.
Yes, I was just thinking it's got to be concentration.
So concentration up to, I think concentration just up to 1 minute is probably fair.
So in
'Cause-
battle, yes.
Yeah, because let's face it, it's a spell to be used in battle.
Hmm.
And I'm sure like you could definitely use it outside of battle, but that is kind of what it is for, is to incapacitate enemies in combat.
Mm.
So generally in combat-based duration spells, 1 minute tends to be the norm because no fight ever tends to last longer than that.
Yeah.
So I feel like concentration up to a minute makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as Shane's coming in with some other ideas for things. So
Yeah, breadcrumbs. I thought of breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs, wicklet candle. I'm trying to think what that's just wax. It's just a stick of wax. um, and actually, like, so looking at, because Shane did also propose the Mind Mist Labyrinth as a potential name. If you guys who are watching want to throw in other name suggestions into the chat as well, and then basically whichever one we feel we like the most, we will use. Not to say that we don't like yours, Shane, at all. It's just that we like to have a few options. So let's have a look here. We've got. So the. So now the question is how to word it. So that's kind of like my next thought. How we're going to word this. I want to have a look at like the wording of some other spells.
I'm trying to think like this, because this has verbal components as well.
It has verbal components as well, yes. So there's got to be like the magic word as well. So okay, so I think the way to word an illusory maze made of either shadows or plants.
Yeah.
Appears in an open space covering a 20-foot radius area.
I'm thinking of like a square radius.
We could do a 20-foot square, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be a square, then it'd probably be better to maybe do like something bigger than 20 foot. Because there's a 5th level spell, so it should be.
Yeah, because 20-foot radius
enough.
is 40 feet
It's
across.
40 foot. Yeah, 40 feet across. So if we call it a 40-foot square.
Okay, yeah.
Covering a 40-foot square, the maze is invisible to those outside of it. If a creature enters the space of the maze or starts their turn inside the maze, they must succeed on an intelligence saving throw. Or suffer one of the following effects. And this is where we'll have our table.
Because if it's like ranger and druid, it could be like thorns, it could be like like maze, it could be anything like nature wise, but the shadow one would be more like obscure, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll need to come up with like a table that we can like do a dice roll on.
Yeah.
I'll just leave a space for that for the time being.
Yeah.
I feel like the dice roll would be optional, that the DM could ultimately decide what it is. Especially if you're
100%.
working with like warlock and magic, which is super weird.
It's very true. So okay, so we've got that. Additionally, any creature inside the maze cannot take the world outside of the maze. Creatures outside of the maze can still take actions against those inside the maze.
So we got a comment about the damage being psychic or necrotic. If they because the walls are in their mind.
It should definitely be psychic.
Yeah.
It generally tends to be psychic with illusion-based stuff. Some shadow magic does actually do physical damage, but most illusion-based spells that do damage are going to be psychic. And considering that only part of this comes from shadow magic and the other part comes from nature, that definitely feels more like it. And I feel like the nature one should almost feel like that feeling of like getting lost in the woods.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking exactly the same thing, because I was thinking of like brambles and briars and like really close trees, or
it's
like really dark forest.
I feel that has to be kind of like the way to go with that, is it makes it feel like that rather than like a hedge maze.
Yeah. Something a little bit more rugged.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, if a creature inside the maze takes damage from something outside of the maze, they can immediately make an intelligence saving throw to escape from the maze. There we go. Okay, so that kind of covers all of our bases, short of just putting together the options for the random effects that can happen inside the maze. This feels kind of super cool as a spell that sort of functions the same way mechanically for both for all four of these classes,
Mm.
but actually in technically is two different spells entirely that have two different origins
Yeah,
that just happen to have the same effect.
yeah. So I was thinking of the components, and I love like the idea of the gold thread, but I think that what you should be doing with it is making it into a tangle. So like almost like you're tangling it up.
Interesting, yeah. So
So you're actually like weaving it between your fingers and making it into a knot and tangling it. Um, yeah, and to kind of represent what you're doing to their mind.
so the caster takes the golden thread, uh, takes the ends of the golden thread in in their hands and performs a series of gestures tangling the thread in the process. And then an illusory maze made of either shadows or plants appears in an open space. Yeah. So
So
in a sense, like they take both ends of the thread and then perform this elaborate thing where they're basically knotting and tying it into a thing, but it's all kind of like a very because it is somatic components, a very exaggerated action.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
all, I'm actually kind of thinking of it like playing cat's cradle with yourself.
It kind of is, yeah.
Like you're just like, "Whoa."
That is kind of what it is, absolutely. So
But what are you
yeah.
saying?
I think that's down to the class.
Oh, that's fair.
Because bards would be singing, possibly, or reciting a poem.
Yeah,
Warlocks could be doing some weird, like, otherworldly language.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think almost like the incantation for a druid or a ranger would probably be in like Sylvan.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the incantation for a warlock or paladin would probably be that's an interesting thought because I'm not actually sure. Um, I feel like maybe it would be something like deep speech or undercommon, but I'm trying to think if it is
It'd probably be more
actually a
abyssal
language of the Shadowfell.
based on, what's that one demon lord?
True, this is, but and in fact, I believe part of the abyss, at least in Pathfinder, was, and I believe is the same in D&D because
Bahamut.
Baphomet,
Yeah.
yeah, Baphomet is the demon lord of mazes,
Yeah.
of labyrinths,
Oh,
and
interesting.
he's actually a minotaur. Well, like part minotaur. He's also the demon lord of minotaurs. He's got weird domains.
Appar yeah, apparently the language in Shadowfell is Shadarkai.
Shador-kai. So maybe it'd be
Yeah.
Shador-kai then. Yeah. It's one
But
of the
it's
languages you don't really hear much.
yeah, it's also Fae, so it could be Sylvan all around. Because Shadowfell is kind of originated from the Fae.
That's true. It's kind of the reverse mirror of the
Yeah,
Fae.
yeah,
Yeah. The Shadowfell is like a super interesting place, and I I really kind of want to explore that like more in a campaign sometime.
creepsies.
Yeah. But it's kind of crazy that there are just a bunch of demi-planes in the Shadowfell which have been built to contain really powerful beings by essentially making them, giving them absolute and utter control inside of that demi-plane so that they don't actually want to leave. So it's some interesting ideas. But guys who are watching, get in the chat with some names as well, some name suggestions for this spell, because it is going to need a name. Otherwise, we can go with the Misty Mind Labyrinth.
Mind Mist Maze.
The Mind Mist Maze.
Labyrinth or whatever. What is it?
I think like something
Mind Mist Labyrinth. It's hard. Mind Mist Labyrinth.
Mind Mist Labyrinth. A lot of alliteration and tongue twisting. But the Mind Mist Maze, or a Misty Mind Maze. Maybe something like Shadow Labyrinth or Shadow Maze.
I was thinking of Shadow. Trying to think of another name for maze and labyrinth then.
Yeah, it really does just come down to those two, isn't it?
Mind or Shadow Shadow Web.
Is there an evil ranger or druid? I imagine there are many.
Yeah.
Like specific like types of rangers and druids that do evil. I guess like there are definitely darker subclasses for them. So you have the with the rangers, there is an actual ranger subclass that is all about shadow, and is all about like shadow magic and stuff. I have frozen and lost my. Damn it.
Actually, never played a ranger.
I played one, of course.
Yep. Or maybe lost him completely.
Maybe.
He'll be back in a minute.
It's
just us.
Oh, let's take over. I don't know where to start. I'm too tired.
Let me fix that. There we go. Let's see. What did they say? Is there an evil? I already said
No, about that.
Character-wise in the lore.
Yes. Character-wise in the lore, right? Fair question. It's an interesting thought. There, I don't actually know of any like famous druid characters in the lore, or ranger characters in the lore. I know there are definitely druids out there that have done questionable things, been evil. My camera's not setting up again. Let me just redo that. God, issues at the moment.
It is the evening of technical issues.
Yeah. It's what happens when you don't have a hardwired internet connection for me, and it's just an absolute pain sometimes when it comes to streaming. But yeah, no, I think as far as like D&D lore, I'm trying to think of specific characters that are like evil druids and evil rangers, but I know that there definitely have been druids that have become evil due to they basically end up just becoming eco-terrorists because people abuse the environment so much, and then they go mad and just turn against everyone and turn against civilization in general. Rangers, yeah, I can't think of anything specific for like evil rangers. Should you like Tasha City's laughter thing and do lore names person Hall of Shadows. It is definitely a possibility. I mean, if we're going to do that, then we'll just make up a person.
So
That's what we've done a lot of the time.
So I've just thought of a name for the spell, and you can
Yes.
totally throw it away.
Okay.
But what if it's called the Meandering Shadow?
The Meandering Shadow. Let me have a look.
Because it's like an instance or period of roaming.
I don't know. Meandering feels like a leisurely stroll.
Okay, that's fair.
Which I think
No, it's just very understated.
it's very understated for what this is.
It's
I feel
probably
like this
being
more
much
imposing.
more straightforward as well, where it's kind of like it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm full dark this season, and I feel like we need to kind of maintain that.
I like Shadow though.
I do like the Shadow. I think Trudging Shadow. I think it needs to be something other than a synonym for walking.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the key to this spell is walking.
No, it's much more the maze and being lost.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of like maybe something kind of synonymous with lost or being lost. Why don't I just look up go to thesaurus.com and put in the word lost and see what comes up.
And I want to spend some proper time with this drawing. Like, get some nice reference for armor, and I like this.
Cool.
I like it a lot. There's this.
I would love to add something to it that like gives the person stuck in the maze like madness.
That could definitely be that. May be like one of the options on the table.
Or a caveat if they don't save in X amount of rounds.
Mm.
That they can
Oh, they could be stuck there for a lot longer, like after the spell ends.
Yeah, they could take like
stuck there until they save.
Well, they will be stuck there until they save.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a chance that like if they don't escape, maybe we'll add that as like a little caveat at the end. If the creature spends more than 3 rounds, or would it be? I feel like 3 is good because a lot of combat can be over in 3 rounds. 3 rounds inside the maze. And I believe there is actually a thing in the DMG for insanity and madness.
There definitely is.
Yeah.
I've used it.
That would be epic. Like if it got to that point, like actually changing.
So yeah, there is a short-term madness table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to use, and it's also something that doesn't get utilized enough. Is the madness tables.
Yeah.
Unless you're me.
I love them.
So, yeah, if they don't get out of the maze, spend more than 3 rounds inside the maze, they take, they go mad, in brackets, roll on the short-term madness table in the DMG. And that kind of adds an extra like little little caveat for people that do not get out. So still kind of looking at some words. There's some good words here. There's disorientated, which is or disoriented, which I don't know, it feels like a mouthful. Mislaid, not sure if that actually works. So for the
Maze
name,
of Madness.
the maze of
Oh,
it's like
that it would be cool if that was like the first thing that happens. The madness.
the second into the maze, you
I mean, the first thing
start
would
going
be
mad.
you would think that you'd been teleported first off.
Yeah.
Like you'd walked into some sort of teleportation rift or circle.
Disorienting.
So you'd be really disoriented.
Yeah, I feel like you would
What would be awesome though, it's just like, oh, roll intelligence save, and it's like you are instantly transported to this thing, and they don't find out until after their turn that everyone can see them just stood there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that for role play in combat.
Indeed, yeah, I really do like that. I feel like the madness, because some of the madness stuff is quite bad.
So good.
Yeah, like character falls unconscious or character is stunned,
Yeah.
and it's not like stunned for a certain amount of time, like they're just stunned. Character becomes paralyzed, becomes incapacitated.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's yeah.
See, I find that those are boring effects.
Well, it's more of you add the
I mean,
flavor to that.
There is flavor to these. I'm just kind of listing off the actual like mechanical effects that they can have.
Yeah.
There is flavor to all of these. But like if that's the first thing that happens when you go in, that's kind of more akin to like a 8th or 9th level spell.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking about. Then you can't call it the madness maze unless that's the first thing that happens.
That's just it. Yeah. It's so yeah, it's just I like something of shadow. Like I just feel like it should be something of shadow.
I mean, Labyrinth of Shadow is not bad.
That's true. I mean, do we have so yeah, Labyrinth of Shadow probably is going to be feels like the best option. So
there's yeah, I like the word shadow.
So I feel I think Labyrinth of Shadow, Labyrinth of Shadows, maybe.
Yeah, because it's different. It's different.
Labyrinth of Shadows. I like that.
Nice. And I'm thinking, like, I know we said to do like a random table, but maybe because I don't know like how many different things can happen.
Yeah, I think it's just the 2 things.
Yeah, so
Depending
I feel
on your
like
class.
yeah, I feel like maybe each round you're in the maze. If you fail the save, you take some damage. And if you don't get out of the maze in 3 rounds, you take on a short-term madness.
Yeah. So
that's like a good enough effect.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that, like, depending on if you're paladin or warlock or druid or ranger, um, one is a maze that is mist and shadow, or mist, or whatever, and then the other one is like a tangled maze of bramble.
Yeah, I feel so. I always feel like the nature-based maze is just like this overgrown forest.
Yeah.
That has, it's got brambles and trees that are just kind of blocking out the sunlight, so it is still shadowy.
Yes.
And then the warlock and paladin-based maze is a literal maze built of shadows.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the forest one, it should be like, it's just like night. So like it doesn't matter what time of day it is where your mind takes you, is to you find yourself in a forest in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Like that's closing around you, and like that would be terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. So it's I mean, the forest, being in a wooded area at nighttime is terrifying.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been camping it and can attest to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it truly is quite terrifying. So I think that's we'll add that into kind of like the spell for flavor purposes, that when cast by a ranger or druid, the target is, or the maze is a overgrown wooded area at nighttime.
Yeah.
And then with a paladin or a warlock, it is a maze constructed from shadow, walls of shadow.
Yeah. Wow, that's scary too. Whichever, like no matter what happens, if you find yourself in the middle of a battle and then transported somewhere else that is that creepy, you're gonna like be like, crap. I mean, the element of it, until you figure out that you're in a maze, the first instant, or that, like, if you're just in your mind, the first instance is like, crap, I can't help anyone anymore. I'm stuck in this forest, or I'm stuck in this creepy mist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is so dark.
Delightful.
For the round. Okay, so yeah, this is just now the dark season completely. So this is the spell as it stands, wording wise. So it's Labyrinth of Shadows, a 5th level illusion spell. Casting time is 1 action. There is a range of 120 feet. Components are verbal, somatic, and material, which is a length of golden thread. And the duration is concentration up to 1 minute. The caster takes the ends of the golden thread in their hands and performs a series of gestures, tangling the thread in the process. An illusory maid made of either shadows or plants appears in an I'll change the wording of that so that it matches our descriptions, but in an open space covering a 40-foot square. The maze is invisible to those outside of it. If a creature enters the space of the maze or starts their turn inside the maze, they must succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take 2d8 psychic damage and lose all remaining movement for that round.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally,
any creature inside the maze cannot take actions that affect the world outside of the maze. Creatures outside of the maze can still take actions against those inside of the maze. If a creature inside the maze takes damage from something outside of the maze, they can immediately make an intelligence saving throw to escape from the maze. If the creature spends more than 3 rounds inside of the maze, they go mad. Roll on the short-term madness table from the DMG.
Cool. So what if someone gets into melee attack with them, and they fail their intelligence check after the hit? Obviously it's GM's discretion. What I would do is have them attacked by a wolf or some shadow creature in the maze.
Yeah, I think if they fail the intelligence saving throw after taking an attack. So bearing in mind, in order for someone to make a melee attack against someone inside of the maze,
they have to go in the maze.
They have to then enter the space. Yeah. So chances are anyone who would make an attack would probably be aware that it's there.
Oh yeah.
In which case they would most likely try and do a ranged attack. If someone fails the saving throw, again, it kind of comes down to the GM to flavor it. But I imagine it would be like you get hit by an arrow, but when you're in the maze, it's like in the nature-based maze, a massive hornet comes out and stings you.
Yeah.
Or in the shadow-based maze, a spear juts out of the wall and stabs you.
Yeah, something crazy happens.
Like all the damage they take if they fail the intelligence saving throws.
Yeah.
Act as if the maze itself is doing the damage.
Yeah. No wonder they go mad if they don't get out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because 1 minute in there would seem like an eternity anyway.
Yeah, it would. It really would. Like it's. What's this referencing you put up there, Sarah?
What?
It looks like. I'm trying to think. I feel like I recognize that image, but I can't think where from.
Some old movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, 100%. I think the like it being in a maze, being in a maze itself is quite stressful.
Yeah.
And yeah, even being in a maze for a very short amount of time does feel like you've been in there for a really long time, because there is a sense of panic.
Mm-hmm.
They're always done in like really whimsical ways, like cornfield mazes and things like that. But if you spend like more than a few minutes inside of a maze, you start to really go a bit nuts with it, because you actually like really worried if you're actually make it out or not.
Yeah.
With a maze like this, which is illusory and is designed to be super creepy, even more so.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I'm so sad this is not a bard spell.
I know. I feel like it works for what it is. I don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like, bearing in mind, there is actually a spell which is just maze, which, but that is a conjuration spell, and you would literally teleport them to a pocket dimension maze. So.
Well, this is slightly different because it is an illusion, but they would maybe think on the first instance that that's what's happened to them.
Well, that's just it, and that would also be super terrifying, because the actual spell maze is an 8th level spell.
Yeah.
But with the actual spell maze, it is not a saving throw. It is you just make a straight intelligence check to try and get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, there are not many classes that get intelligence as their saving bonus. It's pretty much just wizards, rogues, and artificers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense to have the saving throw be a particularly difficult one. And
Yeah.
particularly because this is a spell that is probably going to be used to target characters like barbarians quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
barbarians usually don't tend to have the best intelligence saving throws.
Yes.
So, yeah, it feels kind of right for this, and
Yeah.
I think that's going to be really cool. But we have been talking for over an hour. We've
Oh,
created
right.
this awesome spell.
I'm just
Yeah.
seeing 46 minutes, but then I realized that we like at
The
some point got
stream-
kicked out.
It died.
Yeah, the stream did die at one point, so even though it is showing only being 45 minutes, we have actually been talking for probably about an hour and 15 minutes at this point.
Oh wow.
Give or take maybe 5 minutes. So I think we will leave this one here for today. I will neaten that because we still have to work on finishing the first season's publication. Because all of these items and monsters and spells and things that we create for Homebrew Labs will eventually be available for purchase on the Wayfarers League store as basically like a little magazine. And so if you are a member of Wayfarers League, or if you are new to Wayfarers League, then you can head over to wayfarersleague.com to keep an eye on the store and check out for that. Also, if you are new here, jump onto the website and come join us in the Discord, because our community is ever growing and there are so many great things going on because of that. So plenty of things to be happening there. Also, if you are new and this is your first time watching, 90 followers here on Twitch, and if we can make it to 100, we are going to do a special one-off episode of this show, which we are very, very excited about. And that's going to be like our first major stretch goal for Twitch achieved. So that's going to be really great.
That'll be really cool.
Yay.
Yeah, but otherwise, I will be on again on Sunday, doing Behind the GM Screen, and I will be talking about how to flesh out your villains and make them more, give them more depth and make them a bit more real. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that, and basically going to be doing that in the process of doing that to one of my villains for the upcoming Shadowrun campaign, which I'm currently preparing on Behind the GM Screen. Also, if you are trying to think like all the things that we have going on at the moment, there's so
essentially,
much.
just go look at the website,
so many.
Go look at the
www.wayfarersleague.com. Check out our events. We have our Twitch schedule up on there. We also have it available on Twitch. You can go look at our schedule. I've put all our stuff on there. We've got tons going on. Blog posts going up tomorrow. Games are happening. Come and join us. Our community is awesome. And
Battle Royale will be starting in about. Is it next? Oh, it's actually next
no, it's
week.
2 weeks.
2
2
weeks.
weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Just under 2 weeks' time, we will be having our Battle Royale here live on Twitch, which you can also participate in if you go to Wayfarers League and sign up. So make sure to do that. But thank you, everyone, for sticking with us as we fight through our technical difficulties to create this really cool spell. And until our next adventure, farewell.
Bye.